Mike Tyson is known for being a beast inside the ring, harboring enough strength in his fists to destroy any opponent who crossed his path. However, on some occasions, it hasn't been necessary for the level of sadism of the Great Iron Mike to reach its peak to declare himself the winner of a bout. Some, with just a small taste of his strength, decide to retire from the ring. Welcome. In today's video, we'll tell you the controversial story behind the fight between Mike Tyson and Andrew Golota. Beyond narrating the fight, you'll know how time proved right the giant who left the ring that night diminished to dust. In his beginnings, nobody placed their faith in the youngest heavyweight champion in history to go beyond his moment of glory. However, the power of his fists was enough to keep him relevant throughout the following decades. With a tumultuous personal life, Tyson entered the new millennium, adding to his streak of victories after defeating Julio Francisco and Lou Savarese, both by technical knockout in the second and first round, respectively. These victories led him to face a warrior who maintained the promise of destroying him in the fighting ring, a boldness that many had boasted of but few had achieved. Andrew Golota also had a good start to the new millennium, winning against Marcos Roche by technical knockout in the third round and against Orlin Norris by unanimous decision at the end of the 10th. The task wouldn't be easy, but everyone was eager to see what this warrior could do once he stepped into the ring to face a living legend, the Great Iron Mike. The agreed-upon date was October 20th, 2000, the day Tyson and Golota were supposed to step into the ring at the Palace of Auburn Hills in Michigan to face their destiny, living one of the most controversial battles in both their careers. Andrew Golota entered the ring resembling RoboCop, and everyone expected precisely from him to be an unstoppable machine that would give Tyson a tough battle for victory. Tyson entered dressed in white, as was customary. The crowd went wild just hearing his name, although he looked calm despite the opponent waiting for him in the ring. Golota's professional record was 36 wins, 29 of them by knockout and 4 losses. At just 32 years old, everyone thought he would be synonymous with vitality and endurance once the fight began. Tyson's record was nothing short of astonishing. At 34 years old, he already had 48 victories, 42 of them by knockout, 1 draw, and only 3 previous defeats. With the sound of the bell, the fight began. Tyson came out attacking Golota from the start, dodging severe body and head hooks that made the giant step back after the impact. Golota actively tried to counterattack Mike's offense, but it seemed that the difference in height worked against him as several of his attacks passed over Tyson's head. The height disparity was not a problem for Tyson. Throughout his career, he had turned what others saw as a weakness, especially in his early days, into a strength. By the last minute of the first round, Tyson's attack power reached a point of no return for Golota. With less than 15 seconds left, he received a right hook directly to his cheek that made him lose strength in his legs, ultimately falling to the canvas. Golota immediately got up, but he received the mandatory count to 8. Fortunately for him, when the fight resumed, the closing bell gave him the opportunity to take a deep breath and gather the pieces that had crumbled from his strategy to improve it for the next round. The second round started with a very evident headbutt from Tyson to Golota, which seemed to have intimidated the giant enough to neutralize his fighting spirit. Tyson's offensive sadism level attempted to be matched by Golota's counterattack, who occasionally landed good punches on his opponent but not strong enough to equal the level of damage he had suffered so early in the fight. Ironically, the second round ended with another headbutt from Tyson to Golota, where the referee was heard saying it was an accident while putting distance between them and signaling them to continue the fight.
See, Golota slapping here, and you can't hurt Mike with that.
Andrew, get him up. Right break. Get him up. That was an accident.
Again, it seemed like the bell had saved Golota, but it wasn't perceived that way from his perspective. Suddenly, everyone began to see Golota pushing the members of his corner and showing resentment towards the referee's request to return to the fight. They tried to force his mouthguard back in, but there was no force in this world that would make him resume the fight. In this way, and with a look of confusion and anger, Tyson was declared the winner by technical knockout at the end of the second round. No one in the venue could believe what was happening. Despite being behind Tyson on the judges' scorecards, no one expected him to be the one to declare himself the loser by quitting the fight. The fact that he took the audacity to say, "I quit," to his corner made him the target of hatred and resentment from all the people who had paid to see a spectacle only to go home witnessing more of a circus than a fight. The audience's repudiation escalated to such levels that Golota needed to be urgently taken to his dressing room, but on the way, he couldn't escape the reproach of the thousands of people in the venue who threw garbage and drinks at him left and right. Nobody seemed to understand why a fighter like him would so easily resign from a fight. Even his corner doubted if there was a real reason to believe himself incapable of continuing the fight. Despite the unfortunate moment he experienced after making his decision, time would prove him right. It would later be known that Golota had a broken bone in his head, which had the potential to pierce his brain if he continued the fight, and Tyson successfully executed some of the sadistic punches he is famous for even to this day. The question many were asking then was how that bone got broken, since, given the shortness of the fight, it didn't seem like the fighters had reached such a violent fighting pace to suffer such consequences. But in the locker room, Golota made a statement that would try to make sense of this outcome. According to his testimony, Tyson kept headbutting him during the short period of time the fight lasted, and he pointed out the referee's inefficiency in not even giving him a warning for it. Again, time would put things in their place, and now it would be the great Iron Mike who would suffer the consequences of a tragic plot twist for his reputation. Initially, Tyson had been declared the winner by technical knockout. However, after the fight, he tested positive for marijuana. The Beast had stepped into the ring under the influence of weed. And it was something that no sports entity could allow, not even to their greatest exponent. That's why a clear message was sought to be sent with the sanction that would ultimately be imposed on Mike, which said, if you play against the rules, you will be severely punished. The commission ended up changing the result from technical knockout to no contest due to Tyson's regrettable decision, making the outcome of the fight even more tragic. Why would Golota's career be buried if time proved him right, you might be wondering. The effect this controversial fight had on him was not only based on his reputation but also on his psychological health. Andrew Golota had to take a long 3-year break from the fighting rings before being ready to face a new challenge again. Fortunately, his return to the ring was a success by defeating Brian Nix by technical knockout in the 7th round, although from then on, success was not precisely a constant in his career trajectory. If you've made it this far, we thank you. Also, we remind you that there's no better way to support our content than by leaving your like on the video and subscribing to the channel by activating the notification bell. What is your opinion on this controversial match? We'll read you in the comments.